going on, guys? Jordan here with Universal. Today we're going to go over a quick squatting progression to get you ready for the low bar squat. So whether you've never low bar squatted before or you're a proficient powerlifter just looking to warm up to get into that low bar position, this is going to be a good progression to slowly, systematically bring you into that more hip dominant low bar position. The first stop in the progression is going to be a counterbalance squat. We're going to hold a weight, usually a light plate, 10 or 25 pounds. We're going to hold it straight out in front of us. Now what this does is this allows us to accommodate for more knee flexion and less sitting back into the hips. And that'll be something that we slowly phase out of knee flexion and phase into deeper hip flexion as we go into the low bar position. So starting with a light plate, we're going to put the plate right out in front of us at shoulder height, and this will allow us to kind of sit straight down into the squat with having very little hip travel front to back. It'll allow us to keep a narrower stance, allow our feet to go a little bit more forward, less rotation in the hips. Then from there, we're going to slowly start to deviate that combined center of gravity towards us. So out here, this is going to allow us to break in the knees almost exclusively. Then as we bring the weight towards our body, put it over our back and then into the low bar position, we're going to load less into the knees and more into the low back and hips. So the next step of the progression is going to be a goblet squat. So we're going to take that plate or kettlebell in closer to us, so you're holding it kind of in a front rack position. It can also be replaced with a barbell high bar or a front squat if you prefer. Now this is going to, again, allow us to break in the knees exclusively, and then you're going to sort of have the inclination to sit back towards the bottom of the movement. But again, more knee flexion is going to allow us to keep a more upright posture and less stress through the lower back. Moving from there, we're going to go into the high bar squat. So the load has shifted from out in front of us to really close to now over on the back. Now this is going to allow us to have a barbell that we can start to work with, widen out our stance slightly, rotate the hips a little bit more, and then cause us to kind of sit back a little bit more into that bottom position of the squat. Then from there, we should be ready to get into that low bar position. So take the bar from the high bar position, drop it further down our back. Now, when we cue this movement, we're still going to have we're going to take the intent of the three movements prior of breaking in the knees first, and we're going to make that carry true into the low bar position, where a lot of people, when they go into the low bar squat, they're going to throw their hips back and then drop straight down. That can put a lot of stress into the low back. So just as with the counterbalance, with the goblet squat, with the high bar, we want to try and break in the knees first, but now we're going to break knees and hips at the same time as we sit down into that bottom position of the squat in the low bar. So deviating center of gravity as a progression rather than just progressing in weight in the same position is going to be an effective way to help warm up or to learn the low bar squat, whether you're a powerlifter just starting out or you're a powerlifter just looking to warm up for a lift. So as a beginner, I would suggest even going through a progression of workouts. So do an entire workout of a counterbalance squat. It's going to decrease the range of motion, it's going to decrease the amount of resistance. You're going to be limited to how much you can counterbalance squat, but it's going to sort of start to carve in a better motor pattern for that squat. As you kind of get more proficient with the technical side of the low bar squat, you can start to do this just as a warm up. 10 to 15 reps per progression based off how you feel graduating into the next progression as you integrate this as a part of your warm up. So that was the progression to getting into a low bar squat. So whether you're a beginner or an intermediate or advanced lifter, that's gonna dictate how much time you spend on each movement, whether it's months or weeks progressing each and graduating into the next movement, or if you're a really technically sound lifter, you can just use it as a quick warm up. So again, that's gonna be a counterbalance, a goblet squat, a high bar, and then into that low bar position. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more instructional videos.